All right, so we got some Zylon level 2 panels in from Wicked Smitty 11, and I agreed to take these and shoot them in our ballistic lab using the 357 Magnum threads that they are supposed to be rated for. Now, as most of you know, Zylon is no longer allowed to be used in body armor. I've never seen it in person. I'm excited to shoot it and see what happens. They're getting our lab all set up, so be sure to film everything, show you guys what's going on. So we're gonna mark these up using the standard NIJ 6-shot pattern. Our guys over here just got finished with doing a drop test on the clay, confirming that it's conditioned, and then we'll get to getting these shot. So in the lab, we hand load each round to make sure that's within velocity. We go with accurate number 2. Great powder used by OBL as well. And we're gonna be just doing some warm-up shots here with 357 mag. Velocity is 1430 plus or minus 30 feet per second. Just gotta figure out how much powder is needed for today. It varies depending on conditions. We use a Bill Wiseman universal receiver. That fires down a steel tube into the chamber that we've built here. We're using some Oler chronographs, which actually have proven to be really phenomenal and accurate, especially for being inside. We have this whole thing encased in AR500 steel, and then we have our ballistic blocks back there as well. So that's what we'll be firing into. We have our clay all prepped, just trying to get our velocities correct for this test. On this label, I noticed it doesn't have the level 2 1430 feet per second. It specifies 1395. So we'll go to what's out on that panel. Probably 7.9 grains. Yes.
1468.
1468. All right. Well, that's way hot. We don't do too much level 2. I forgot. 357 mag is not very consistent. You can have the exact same amount of powder in that each time, and you get a different reading constantly. Kind of annoying for this caliber. 44 mag, on the other hand, is extremely consistent. We'll go with 7.7 again. Yes.
1365.
1365. 7.8 it is. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Here's who we're going to be shooting down. Oh, let me get a weight first. 1365.
You got a thickness measurement?
No, let's get that.
Top 0.1785.
0.1785.
Right side 0.1675.
0.1675.
Bottom 0.1830.
0.1830.
0.1580.
1580. Can I grab that real quick? We'll log that in. So we have average thickness of 0.1718. Okay, there we go. So we're going to be testing a second chance Zylon vest, and this vest ended up, this is a level 2. Granted, it's not going to the 1430 spec that is standard for NIJ level 2. The reference velocity on that panel itself is 1395, so that's going to be our target velocity. We had a weight of 1.37 pounds and an average thickness of 0.1718. We have a drop here for our conditioned clay, and we are within that range. The range that we need to be for an average is 19 millimeters plus or minus 2, which we are within, and no drop exceeding 22 or under 16. So we are solid. We're going to be starting with 7.79 grains using the 357 spec round for the NIJ.
Clear.
Clear?
Clear.
Shot one. Yes.
One 1391.
1391. That's really close to 1395. So, first thing looking at this, in comparison to much more modern armor, is that we can see that the Zylon was pulled into the clay. Quite a way there. And that is a penetration on shot one. Did it come out the back of the box? We damaged the back of the box, so that has some real energy behind it. Yeah. Zylon. So let's carry on, Del. Yeah, you know, it's interesting that got pulled so much into that hole as well, because typically if you see a penetration, you don't have as much kind of stretch in that armor. It just kind of zips through. In this case, it was really pulled in there. Yeah, that's not great. Let's do shot two. We're going to do the same reference velocity of 1395. And then I'm going to go lower and lower until we actually stop something, assuming that's a penetration.
Clear.
Same 7.7 grain count, same 357 mag round. Yes.
One 416.
1416. Still within that range. It's plus or minus 30 for the NIJ. So even with their reference 1395, that is a fair hit. It's actually crazy how much that pulls in and then bulges out. It's kind of weird. And that is another penetration. Oh, actually, it's going to be hot. Oh, it's going to be hot. And there's our round. Definitely hot. Those are zipping through there. Still didn't come out the back of the box, but a big dent. So it's still moving. We're going to do shot three. I'm going to reduce the velocity by estimating 100 feet per second. Usually we go up for V50s. We're going to try a reverse V50. We're going to be reducing our grain count to 7.4, hopefully bringing that down around 100 feet per second. We have no data on going under reference velocity, so it's mainly just a guess.
Clear.
One of the really nice things about the lab that we built here is that everything is self-contained, so even with our employees working just 40 feet away, sound and projectiles, no issue at all. Yes!
1451.
1451.
Yes, sir.
And that's our 357. Far less powder and a higher velocity, because that makes sense. Which, for the record, 1451 is the current level 2, within the current level 2 standard, which is 1430 plus or minus 30. So that is a more modern 357 mag level 2 impact. What do you think the chances are that we stopped it, Del?
None.
None? Yep, there you go. All right, let's go. We're gonna do 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna go even less powder.
Okay.
I'm gonna go substantially less powder.
Okay.
All right, while he's getting that loaded, we're gonna go with 6.7 grains of powder. So we're gonna be doing a substantial reduction here because within the NIJ reference velocity and within the reference velocity that was posted on that panel, it's not stopping anything, they're going right through. So we're gonna try and drop a substantial amount of powder to go well under that velocity and see at what point we're gonna stop it, if it stops anything.
Clear.
Yes!
1330.
1330. That's 100 feet per second under the current level 2 NIJ spec. It's also substantially under what is the reference velocity of 1395 on this panel. That's a pretty deep hole and a narrow BFD, so I'm going to bet that's gone through as well. Yeah. Sure has. And again, I know these are going to be hot. There's our round. We're going to drop it even more, see if this thing can stop anything.
Clear.
Our last shot was 6.7 grains. We're going to drop it to 5.7. Hopefully in the low 1200s on this one. Again, we have little to no experience in going under reference velocity. It's always at or over, so it's all a guess. Yes! It's so quiet.
1213.
1213. Now, that is that's really low. Incredibly low. That's a lot of bulging again. Actually, like, kind of crazy how much the panel moves. You definitely don't see that in modern body armor. Finally stopped one, although that is quite the indentation for BFD. Let's, Del, do you want to do shot 6 or do you want to get that BFD right now?
Let's do 6.
And then get
BFD.
double BFDs. Sounds good. Cool. I'm going to do the same velocity again and see if it can.
Okay. Clear. 1211.
1211. All right, so 184 feet per second under the reference velocity for this panel, and over 200 feet per second under the reference velocity for level 2. Do we have a stop? Yes. So, my guess is that these BFDs are also a bit deeper than 44. There's some really nice indentations in the middle, or really unnice indentations in the middle. But let's get that, Del.
Shot 5, 38.9.
38.9.
Shot 6, 41.5.
41.5. Okay, so based on that, at the reference velocity that they gave us and at modern day reference velocities, penetrations every time. It's not until we went about 180 feet per second below the reference velocity of that panel and over 200 feet per second below the reference velocity of the NIJ did we start stopping rounds. Now, those rounds that were stopped were in the center of the panel and later on in the test. Typically, we find that the BFDs are toughest on the first 3 shots and they are reduced as we go on. So at 1,200 feet per second or at 1,213 feet per second and having okay BFDs, if we were even to stop it at that velocity at the beginning of the panel, I'd guess that they'd be over 44 mag. And now that I think of it, we do have a second panel. Want to try shooting it at that velocity and see if we get what our BFDs are?
Sure.
Great, let's do it. Just gonna take 3 shots here and see what our BFDs are at that reduced velocity. I'm not gonna get any thickness measurements or anything, we're just gonna go for it. We go, Del.
Clear.
So we're going for the low 1200 velocity. About 1211 is what we were seeing on these previous shots where we actually started to stop the rounds. We're using this fresh rear panel to see what the BFDs would be on shots 1, 2, and 3 at the velocity that it's actually stopping something. I'm guessing it's going to be over the 44 mag, but I have no experience with Zylon or velocities this low. Yes!
1145.
1145. Okay.
Alpha.
Alpha, let's go on to the next shot. We're going to get after.
Yes, sir. Clear. One 1170.
1170.
Alpha.
Alpha.
Clear.
Yes.
1204.
Take that.
Alpha.
How do those look? Deeper. Much deeper.
Ooh, man.
Yeah. Those are going to be over 44.
Shot 1, 41.15.
41.15.
Shot 2, 46.5.
46.5.
Shot 3, 45.05.
45.05. Okay, so what have we learned? In all honesty, probably not much at all because we all knew do not wear old Zylon vests. However, even with that being the case, I was surprised that these don't stop anything at the reference velocity that is posted on those labels. So if you're wearing it, please don't get something new. And that reference velocity on this is lower than modern NIJ standards. Once we did get to the point that it would stop those rounds and average about 250, 260 feet per second below the NIJ current reference velocity, that's when we started stopping those rounds. We did test with a new panel to gauge BFDs on shots 1, 2, and 3, which are the most difficult. It's not the ones that are later on in the panel, to see what those would be looking like. And even when you're well over 200 feet per second below the reference velocity with this panel to stop the rounds, you're still failing on BFDs. So just to reinforce, do not wear Zylon. It is not worth it. I really appreciate the user who sent these over to us. If you guys have anything else that you want shot in the lab to see how it performs, let me know. Happy to do it.